Captain Adrian Kane's shuttle descended slowly through the vibrant skies of Zareth Prime. The alien planet that now loomed beneath him like a jewel suspended in space. The atmosphere shimmered with colors humans could barely name, shades of green and gold blending into soft violet clouds. His heart raced with a mix of excitement and apprehension. This mission was unlike anything he had ever faced before. Diplomacy had always been delicate, but negotiating with a civilization so different, so advanced and so proud, would test every skill he possessed. Adrian's shuttle landed on a smooth, polished platform near a city that seemed alive, pulsating. With strange energy, buildings curved like flowing water, adorned with light that changed with the passing hours. A welcoming committee awaited him, composed of tall, graceful aliens whose skin seemed to shimmer under the planet's twin suns. Their eyes glowed faintly, a sign of both intelligence and authority. One of them stepped forward. Bowing slightly in a gesture, Adrian instinctively returned. "You are Captain Adrian Kane of the Terran Alliance?" the alien asked, voice melodic yet commanding. Adrian nodded, offering a firm but respectful tone. "I am here to negotiate an alliance between our species." The alien's gaze lingered on him for a moment, studying him in a way that made him feel both honored and exposed. "Follow me," she said, and turned toward a grand corridor that seemed to stretch endlessly, walls reflecting light and patterns that made Adrian's head spin. He followed, careful to match their movements, careful not to appear clumsy or weak. Soon, they entered a hall so vast it seemed like the sky itself had been brought indoors. In the center, seated upon a throne that sparkled with alien crystal, was the ruler of this world, Queen Lysera. She was nothing like Adrian had imagined. Her presence was commanding yet graceful, her form elegant and tall, her eyes large and expressive, held centuries of wisdom and the quiet assurance of someone who ruled not by fear, but by the respect she inspired. Her daughter Solara stood nearby, observing Adrian with curiosity. She was striking every movement. Precise, her beauty radiant but not overpowering, a perfect balance of elegance and strength. The room fell silent as Adrian approached, aware of the significance of this moment. He bowed respectfully, the weight of history and expectation pressing upon him. "Your Majesty," he began, "I am honored to meet you." Queen Lysara's eyes studied him, sharp and discerning. "Captain Kane," she said, her voice calm, but firm. "I have heard much of your kind, yet I wonder, why do you seem drawn to my daughter?" Adrian froze for a heartbeat, aware that every word he spoke could carry weight beyond mere politeness. He chose carefully, allowing honesty and diplomacy to guide him. "Her beauty is overwhelming," he said finally, his voice steady, respectful. It was the truth. Solara's presence was unlike anything he had ever encountered. There was not just physical beauty, but an aura, an energy that drew attention naturally, yet without vanity. The queen's eyes narrowed slightly, not in anger, but in intrigue. She leaned forward, her hands resting lightly on the arms of her throne. "You are honest," she said slowly. "Many from your kind would speak with flattery or deceit. Honesty, that is rare." Solara's gaze met Adrian's for a moment, curious but unreadable. There was no shame or fear in her eyes, only interest. Adrian felt a flicker of relief. Perhaps honesty would serve him well on this world. "You are here for diplomacy," Lysera continued, her voice steady. "Yet your eyes linger elsewhere. That is unusual for humans." Adrian bowed slightly, a gesture of humility. "My attention may have been caught," he said carefully, "but my purpose remains clear. I am here to seek understanding too. Build trust between our peoples. Your daughter's presence does not diminish the importance of my mission." The queen regarded him silently for a long moment, as if weighing his words against some internal measure. Then, with a subtle gesture, she signaled for him to rise. "Very well. You will be allowed to participate in our trials. We shall see. If your actions reflect the words you speak..." Adrian's stomach tightened. Trials. He had anticipated negotiations, debates, and perhaps a ceremonial feast. But trials suggested tests, challenges that could measure not only skill and intelligence, but character itself. He straightened his posture, determined not to betray fear or hesitation. Over the next several hours, Adrian was guided through the Queen's palace, witnessing wonders beyond human imagination. Holographic maps displayed galaxies in motion, with ships moving like schools of fish through streams of starlight. Rooms glimmered with technology that responded to thought, light shifting and adapting to the needs of those who entered. Through it all, Solara moved silently, observing him, occasionally offering a nod of recognition when he handled a device or solved a minor puzzle with ingenuity. At the first trial, Adrian was presented with a complex device, a cube that seemed impossible to understand. It pulsed with light and shifted shape when touched. The instructions were alien, almost poetic, hinting at patterns and rhythms rather than direct commands. He studied it carefully, turning it in his hands, noting how light shifted when he applied pressure to certain edges. Slowly, he began to understand the sequence, his human intuition allowing him to see solutions the aliens had not considered. As the cube clicked into alignment, light flared briefly, signaling success. Solara's eyes widened slightly, the first hint of admiration crossing her face. Adrian bowed slightly, aware that small victories here were as much about perception as achievement. The Queen observed from a distance, her expression unreadable. "Interesting," she murmured. "Humans rely on intuition in ways we cannot predict. This may prove valuable." The next trial tested physical coordination and reflexes. Adrian was placed in a room where holographic obstacles shifted and moved unpredictably. He had to navigate the space, avoiding hazards that could have harmed him if not for the simulated nature of the trial. Humans, he realized, were uniquely capable of improvisation, using their bodies creatively in ways the aliens did not anticipate. He moved with fluidity, reacting instinctively to sudden changes, success earning subtle acknowledgement from Solara, even as the trials continued. Adrian noticed moments that tested character. In one scenario, he was presented with a simulated ethical dilemma, aliens in danger, and he had to choose between preserving his own safety or aiding them. Every decision mattered, each action observed and recorded. Adrian's choices consistently reflected compassion, courage, and strategic thinking. He felt the weight of human responsibility not just for his own species, but for the potential trust that could blossom between worlds. As the sun set on Zareth Prime, casting golden light across the palace spires, Adrian found himself in a quiet corridor with Solara. She studied him carefully, her expression unreadable, but her eyes shining with curiosity. "You have done well," she said softly. "Many of our visitors fail quickly, unable to adapt. You are different." Adrian smiled faintly, feeling a rare connection across the vast difference between their species. "I can only do what I hope is right," he replied. "I do not understand all your ways, but I try to learn." Solara nodded, a hint of a smile touching her lips. "Perhaps that is enough for now." Queen watches. "Yes, but she is learning too. Humans are unpredictable in ways she has yet to comprehend." Adrian felt a strange mixture of pride and humility. Had come to Zareth Prime expecting to negotiate treaties and trade agreements, but he was discovering something deeper. Humans, with all their flaws and strengths, brought something unique to the universe: ingenuity, morality, and the courage to face the unknown. When he returned to his quarters that evening, Adrian reflected on the day's events. The trials were only beginning, and yet he felt a sense of hope. There was a bond forming, subtle but undeniable, between himself and Solara, and perhaps through her, between humans and the Exurvans. As he prepared for rest, Adrian glanced out the window at the twin moons of Zareth Prime, their light casting shimmering reflections across the city. He realized that the journey ahead would not only test human skill and intelligence, but also the heart and spirit that define their species. He smiled faintly, confident that whatever trials awaited, humans had something in them that no alien, a challenge could diminish. And somewhere in the quiet palace halls, Queen Lysera watched her daughter and the human diplomat, her mind turning over possibilities she had never considered. Perhaps humans were more than curious creatures to study. or allies to recruit. Perhaps they carried a spark of something extraordinary, something that might change not just Zareth Prime, but the universe itself. As the night deepened, the palace seemed to hum with anticipation. Adrian Kane, a human among aliens, had begun. A journey that would test his mind, his courage, and his very essence. And in the eyes of the alien daughter who had already captured his admiration, he saw a future brimming with potential and alliance of species, a story of respect and understanding, and the promise of humanity's unique place among the stars. The next morning, the sun rose over Zerath Prime, casting long beams of gold and violet across the palace spires. Captain Adrian Kane stood on the balcony of his quarters, looking out at the city below. The beauty of the place was breathtaking. The streets glowed with lights that seemed alive, reflecting off the crystal towers and the flowing waterways. Birds of alien design glided effortlessly through the skies, leaving trails of sparkling dust behind. Adrian felt a sense of awe. Had seen many worlds, but Zeroth Prime was unlike anything in human experience. A soft knock at the door drew his attention. Solara entered, moving with the grace of someone accustomed to command, yet her expression was relaxed. "You slept well?" she asked. "I did," Adrian replied, smiling. "And you? Are the trials tiring?" She shook her head. "They are challenging, yes, but I enjoy watching how you approach them. Humans think differently. You use your mind and your instincts together in ways we often do not consider." Adrian felt a warmth at her words. It was one thing for the queen to observe him, another for her daughter to show genuine curiosity. "I only hope I continue to meet your expectations," he said modestly. Solara tilted her head, her eyes studying him intently. "You will be tested today in ways you may not expect. The queen wishes to see not just skill, but judgment. Be ready for anything." Adrian nodded, feeling a mix of anticipation and anxiety. The day's trials would be critical. He knew that earning the queen's respect required more than solving puzzles or demonstrating strength. It demanded understanding, adaptability, and integrity. The first trial of the day was in a vast arena. Like anything on Earth, the floor seemed to shift beneath their feet, a mosaic of glowing panels that responded to movement. Holographic obstacles sprang up randomly, changing constantly. The queen's voice echoed in the arena. Humans proceed. Adrian stepped forward carefully, analyzing the patterns. Unlike the aliens, whose movements were precise and pre-programmed, humans excelled at improvisation. He moved fluidly, adjusting to the shifting terrain and the unpredictable holograms. Each time a panel threatened to collapse or a barrier appeared, he adapted, finding paths the Zerathians had not anticipated. Solara observed silently, occasionally tilting her head in intrigue. "He is learning faster than expected," she murmured to a nearby advisor. Her words carried no arrogance, only acknowledgement. By the end of the trial, Adrian had navigated the arena with skill and creativity. The queen's voice echoed once. "More impressive. You're not only agile, but intelligent in movement. Humans may possess talents that surpass our own expectations." The next challenge tested intellect rather than physical skill. Adrian was brought to a chamber filled with floating translucent panels, each inscribed with symbols that shifted constantly. A problem appeared on the largest panel, a puzzle that combined mathematics, logic, and abstract reasoning. Humans were known for ingenuity, but even Adrian had to focus intensely. He studied the patterns carefully, recognizing sequences and relationships that were not obvious at first glance. Slowly, he manipulated the panels, aligning them in ways that unlocked the next sequence. As the final connection clicked into place, the entire chamber glowed with a soft, harmonious light. Solara's eyes widened slightly, admiration evident in the small tilt of her head. "I have not seen anyone solve this so quickly," she whispered to an aide. "Perhaps humans are more than their physical limitations suggest." The third trial was unlike anything Adrian expected. It was a test of ethics and leadership. Holographic. Simulations depicted aliens in danger, with multiple possible actions available. Some choices would protect the humans, but put others at risk. Others required selflessness and strategic sacrifice. Adrian felt the weight of the scenarios. Each decision carried consequences, even though he knew the simulations could not truly harm anyone. He made choices that balanced safety and morality, prioritizing the lives of those at risk while minimizing danger to himself and his team. The chamber recorded each action, translating them into metrics the Zarathians could understand. The final scenario presented a choice, where he could save a small group at the cost of a larger one. He hesitated, thinking through every option, considering both logic and conscience. Finally, he chose a path that minimized overall harm while providing guidance to those in danger, demonstrating leadership and compassion simultaneously. The simulation ended, and the chamber fell silent. The Queen's voice echoed once again. Humans are unpredictable. You show courage, wisdom, and moral judgment. Perhaps your species possesses qualities we have underestimated. During the breaks between trials, Adrian had brief opportunities to speak with Solara. They discussed human and Zarathian culture, learning from each other in ways that went beyond formal training. Adrian was fascinated by Solara's perspective, her insight into her world and people. She, in turn, seemed genuinely interested in his experiences on Earth and his reflections on humanity. You are different from other humans I have observed, Solara said quietly. You think not only with your mind, but with your heart? That is rare. Adrian smiled faintly. I only try to do what I believe is right. I cannot claim to know everything, but I can learn and adapt. Solara nodded, thoughtfully. Perhaps that is what makes your kind special. You are adaptable, yet principled. You can face challenges without losing yourself. As the sun began to set over Zareth Prime, the final trial of the day was announced. It was a team exercise, combining intellect, strategy, and cooperation. Adrian was paired with Solara and a group of young Zarathians. They were tasked with navigating a simulated crisis in a distant colony on the planet. The simulation required quick thinking, coordination, and effective communication. Adrian took the lead naturally, listening to the perspectives of the Zarathians while suggesting innovative solutions. He coordinated actions, adjusted plans when unexpected obstacles arose, and ensured everyone's safety. Solara contributed her own skills, demonstrating agility, intelligence, and strategic thinking. Together, they navigated the simulation successfully, earning praise from the Queen herself. You work well with others, Lysara's voice said, resonant across the simulation chamber. You are not arrogant, nor blind to the abilities of those around you. Humans may possess not only strength and ingenuity, but also the capacity for true cooperation. After the trials concluded, Adrian returned to his quarters, exhausted but exhilarated. He reflected on the day's events and the subtle bond forming between himself and Solara. It was a connection built on mutual respect and admiration, something deeper than words. He realized that these trials were not merely about proving skill. They were about understanding humanity's essence and its potential place in the universe. Solara visited him once more before the night fully fell. You have done well, she said softly, her eyes reflecting the stars outside the window. The Queen is learning. You are showing her that humans are not merely creatures of curiosity, but beings capable of extraordinary things. Adrian felt a surge of gratitude. I only hope I can continue to meet expectations, he replied, but perhaps, in the process, we can understand each other better. Solara smiled faintly. That is the beginning of something important. Understanding comes before trust, and trust can change everything. As Adrian lay down to rest, he looked out at the alien moons, glowing softly against the deep violet sky. He understood now that the path ahead would be full of challenges, tests, and surprises. But he also knew that humanity had a unique strength that could not be measured by technology alone. It was the combination of curiosity, courage, ingenuity, and a heart that set humans apart. Somewhere in the palace, Queen Lysera observed silently, pondering the unusual human before her. She had expected to encounter diplomats, negotiators, and perhaps scholars. Instead, she found a human who could think, feel, and act in ways that were entirely unexpected. The day's trials had revealed qualities in him and in his species that she had never fully considered. The night deepened, but the palace was alive with quiet energy. Adrian Kane, human among aliens, had begun a journey that would test more than his skills or intelligence. It would challenge his understanding of trust, courage, and the bonds that could form across worlds. And as he drifted into sleep, he carried with him the knowledge that the future was uncertain, yet filled with extraordinary possibilities for both humans and Zerathians alike. The next morning, Zereth Prime awoke under a sky tinged with soft amber and violet. Captain Adrian Kane stood on the balcony of his quarters, stretching and watching the alien city below. The trials had tested his mind, his agility, and his moral judgment, but today felt different. A sense of tension lingered in the air, subtle yet unmistakable. Even from afar, he could see a gathering of Zerathian patrols. Moving swiftly through the streets, an urgent message arrived from Queen Lysera. Adrian entered the throne room, where the Queen and Solara awaited him. Lysera's expression was grave, her glowing eyes reflecting both concern and determination. "Captain Kane," she began, her voice firm yet measured, "a threat approaches. Zereth Prime. Ships from a hostile system have been detected near our borders. They are heavily armed and show no intention of negotiation." Adrian's mind raced. The humans had faced conflicts before, but interstellar threats on this scale were unprecedented. "What do you need me to do?" I asked Lysera's gaze. Sharpened, "We must defend our planet. Your presence here is not only symbolic. Your knowledge of human strategy and technology may prove invaluable." Solara stepped forward. "We cannot do this alone. Your species' adaptability and ingenuity may turn the tide, Captain." "Will you help us?" Adrian nodded, determination settling over him like armor. "We will fight together, humans and Zerathians, side by side." The Zerathian command center was a marvel of technology. Holographic maps displayed the approaching enemy fleet, showing ships shaped like jagged crystals moving in formations that seemed almost organic. Adrian studied the display, noting the weaknesses in their approach. Humans excelled at improvisation and lateral thinking, qualities that could make a difference in ways the Zerathians might not expect. "Adrian, your input," Lysera said, turning to him. "How should we respond?" He considered the fleets, movements, and the terrain around the planet. "We need to use the environment to our advantage," he suggested. "Zereth Prime has strong energy currents in its upper atmosphere. We can draw the enemy into them, forcing them into unstable zones. While they struggle, your ships can target the most vulnerable points." Solara observed closely, impressed. "By his analytical approach, this could work," she said. "But we must coordinate perfectly." The Zerathians mobilized quickly, relying on their precision and speed. Adrian guided a human-inspired tactic, introducing unpredictability into their maneuvers. The enemy fleet approached cautiously, unaware of the traps laid in their path. As the battle began, the skies erupted with energy. Ships glowed and fired beams of concentrated light weaving through the alien atmosphere. Adrian's strategy proved effective. Enemy ships became entangled in the energy currents, their movements restricted while Zerathian vessels attacked from strategic angles. Amid the chaos, Adrian spotted Solara piloting a ship with astonishing skill. She maneuvered through the enemy forces with grace and precision, her decisions reflecting intelligence, courage, and adaptability. Humans and Zerathians were working together seamlessly, learning from each other in real time. Despite the success, the enemy was relentless. Adrian realized that brute force alone would not suffice. He had to innovate. Spotting a cluster of smaller ships approaching the planet's energy zones, he instructed the Zerathian fleet to create a diversion, while humans targeted the key control points. The plan worked. The enemy's formation fractured their coordination. Collapsing under the unexpected tactics, Zerathian and human forces pressed forward, exploiting every weakness. Adrian marveled at the cooperation. at the way humans and Zarathians complemented each other's strengths. On the surface of Zarath Prime, Solara coordinated defense teams, directing resources to protect key installations. Her intelligence and decisiveness were impressive, but it was her ability to trust Adrian's guidance that made the difference. Together, they formed a bond of leadership built on respect, understanding, and shared purpose. The battle reached its climax as the enemy's flagship attempted to breach the planet's central energy hub. Adrian and Solara worked in tandem, directing concentrated attacks while anticipating the enemy's maneuvers. Human ingenuity and Zarathian precision merged, creating a defense that was both adaptive and formidable. Finally, with a coordinated strike, the flagship was disabled and the remaining enemy ships retreated. The skies cleared, leaving a silence, filled only by the hum of the planet's energy and the soft cheers of Zarathian citizens emerging from shelter. Adrian took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the victory. The battle had tested not only strategy and skill, but the very nature of cooperation between species. Humans had proven themselves capable, not through brute force alone, but through intelligence, courage, and the ability to think creatively. Under pressure, Queen Lysera approached, her presence radiating authority and approval. "Captain Kane," she said, her voice calm but edged with respect, "today you have demonstrated the true value of your species. You did not merely fight, you led, adapted, and inspired. Perhaps humans are more than we imagined." Solara stood beside her mother, her expression a mix of pride and admiration. "You have shown that humans can be trusted not only in peace, but in war. That is remarkable." Adrian nodded, humbled. "I only did what I believed was necessary, but I could not have done it without your guidance and your people's skills." The Queen's eyes softened, a rare gesture. "Perhaps it is time we reconsider our assumptions. Humans are not just visitors from a distant world. They are potential allies in every sense." The day ended with celebrations, though subdued, honoring those who had defended the planet. Adrian found a quiet moment with Solara, away from the crowds and the accolades. "You were extraordinary today," she said, her voice sincere. "It's not because of strength alone, but because of your mind and your courage. Humans are resilient in ways I did not fully understand until now." Adrian smiled faintly. "We are capable of much, but it is trust and cooperation that make the greatest difference. I am grateful to have learned from you and your people." Solara's eyes reflected the alien moons above. "Perhaps this is only the beginning. Humans and Zarathians can face such trials together. Who knows what else we can achieve?" Adrian felt a deep sense of purpose. The trials of diplomacy had been important, but the battle had revealed a truth that could not be measured in words alone. Humans had qualities that even advanced civilizations could not fully anticipate: adaptability, creativity, moral courage, and the ability to unite with others in ways that transcended species. As night fell over Zarath Prime, the city glittered. Under the twin moons, Adrian stood beside Solara, both looking out at the calm after the storm. How the victory had forged a bond not just between him and Solara, but between humans and the Zarathians themselves. Queen Lysera observed from her palace, quietly acknowledging the shift in perception. The humans had proven their worth through intellect, courage, and moral integrity. Perhaps it was time to embrace a new chapter in the history of Zarath Prime 1, where humans were not only visitors, but partners, respected and trusted. In the quiet moments of reflection, Adrian understood the gravity of what had occurred. The battle had tested more than strategy and skill. It had tested humanity itself. And in that test, humans had shown something extraordinary: the ability to rise to challenges with intelligence, heart, and a courage that inspired even the most advanced alien civilization. As the twin moons rose higher, casting silver light across the crystalline towers, Adrian Kane knew that the journey ahead would be full of challenges. But he also knew that humans were capable of remarkable things, and with trust, cooperation, and courage, they could achieve more than anyone had imagined. And somewhere in the palace halls, Solara watched him with quiet admiration, recognizing that the human standing beside her was more than a diplomat or a soldier. He represented the spirit of a species capable of greatness, a species whose beauty lay not in appearance alone, but in mind, heart, and courage. The morning after the battle, Zareth Prime was calm. Skies were a soft gold, reflecting off the crystal towers and flowing waterways. Captain Adrian Kane walked through the city streets alongside Solara. Though the battle was over, its effects were still evident: repaired structures, energy fields stabilizing, and the citizens slowly returning to their routines. People of Zareth Prime moved gracefully, their confidence restored, and they looked at Adrian with a new respect. He had not only fought alongside them, but had proven humans could be trusted in times of danger. Adrian and Solara arrived at a large courtyard where several leaders and advisors gathered. The queen herself was already present, sitting in her usual throne-like position, radiating calm authority. "Captain Kane," Lysera said, her voice steady, "your actions have proven that humans are more than we anticipated. Now, we must work on building trust, not through battle, but through diplomacy and shared understanding." Adrian nodded. "I am ready to help however I can. Humans are eager to learn from your people and share what we know as well." The queen's eyes shifted to Solara, who gave a small nod of agreement. "Then let today begin with collaboration. You will work together with our leaders to discuss resources, technology, and cultural understanding. Our future depends on mutual respect, not only strength or intelligence." Adrian followed Solara and the Zarathian leaders into a large chamber, filled with holographic displays and communication devices. This was unlike any human council room he had ever seen. Maps of distant star systems floated in midair, interactive. Models of spacecraft rotated gracefully, and symbols representing various Zarathian principles glimmered softly. Adrian felt slightly overwhelmed, but he focused on the task at hand. The first discussion was about resource sharing. Zareth Prime had technologies humans had never seen before: advanced energy sources, environmental controls, and medical tools that could heal injuries in minutes. Adrian proposed that humans share their knowledge in engineering, artificial intelligence, and agriculture in return. He spoke clearly, emphasizing cooperation and mutual benefit. Solara translated and guided the discussion carefully. Adrian noticed how much she respected his suggestions, incorporating his ideas into the conversation with the other Zarathians. At the same time, she added insights about their customs and needs, teaching Adrian how to approach delicate matters. With tact, as the discussion continued, Adrian was surprised by the depth of the questions asked by Zarathian leaders. They wanted to know not only how humans built machines or solved problems, but how humans thought and made decisions. Adrian explained the human approach to problem-solving, sometimes intuitive, sometimes calculated, often creative. He emphasized the value of cooperation, ethics, and adaptability. Solara leaned slightly closer and whispered, "You are showing them that humans can offer more than technology. You are showing them the human mind." Adrian smiled quietly. "Hope they see it as intended. Humans are more than what they appear at first glance." The next session involved a cultural exchange. Adrian was invited to demonstrate aspects of human life: music, storytelling, and philosophy. He began by describing Earth's history, highlighting the ways humans overcame challenges through collaboration and ingenuity. He told stories of exploration, invention, and moments of courage, ensuring that every example demonstrated human values, not just achievements. Solara listened intently, occasionally adding explanations to make sure the concepts were clear to the Zarathians. She asked questions about human emotions and moral choices, which allowed Adrian to show that humans valued compassion, loyalty, and integrity. At one point, Solara suggested a joint exercise. Humans and Zarathians were given a series of problems that required both intelligence and creativity to solve. Adrian worked side by side with young Zarathians, demonstrating techniques of lateral thinking and adaptation. The aliens were quick learners, but Adrian noticed that his human perspective often provided solutions that their logic-based methods had missed. Throughout the day, Small moments of connection occurred. Solara laughed at Adrian's careful attempts to mimic their gestures, and Adrian learned the subtle art of Zarathian etiquette. He began to understand not only their ways of thinking, but their ways of feeling, the pride in their work, the importance of community, and the balance between intellect and emotion. By mid-afternoon, discussions turned to education and mutual learning. Adrian suggested a program where humans and Zarathians could study each other's sciences, languages, and philosophies. Understanding each other is the foundation of trust, he explained. We cannot work together if we do not know how each other thinks and feels. Solara supported his idea wholeheartedly. It is rare to see a human who thinks so broadly. This could form a new path for both our peoples. The queen observed quietly, her expression thoughtful. She had seen Adrian in battle, in trials, and now in diplomacy. Each time, he demonstrated qualities that challenged her previous assumptions: human courage, intelligence, and now, the capacity for understanding and collaboration. As the sun began to set, Adrian and Solara walked along the palace gardens, space where light filtered through tall crystal trees, casting dancing patterns on the ground. The air was filled with subtle fragrances and soft, harmonious sounds. The city below was alive but calm, citizens returning to daily routines after the excitement of the battle. "You have done much today," Solara said, walking beside him. "Not only have you helped our people understand humans, but you have also shown the queen something she did not expect." Adrian looked at her, curious. "What do you mean?" Solara smiled faintly. "She has begun to see humans, not just as allies, but as equals in thought, courage, and moral strength. That is rare, even for those of her people." Adrian felt a mixture of pride and humility. "I only hope our cooperation continues to grow." "Trust is delicate, and it takes time to build." Solara nodded. "It does, but you have taken the first step. Humans and Zarathians have the potential to create something remarkable together." Later that evening, Adrian was summoned to the queen's chamber. Lysera greeted him with a serene yet commanding presence. "Captain Kane," she said, her voice steady, "you have exceeded expectations. You have shown intelligence, courage, and integrity. More importantly, you have demonstrated that humans can think beyond themselves, that they are capable of understanding and respecting others." Adrian bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I am honored to serve in any way I can. Humans value collaboration and mutual respect, and I hope that can guide our relationship." Lysera studied him quietly for a moment. "Perhaps it is time to consider a more formal alliance. Your species has proven its worth not through force alone, but through ingenuity, morality, and adaptability. That is rare in the universe." Solara entered the chamber quietly, standing beside her mother. "Captain Kane has shown us the potential for true cooperation," she said. "Humans can offer wisdom, creativity, and moral guidance, not just technology. That is something we must recognize." The queen nodded slowly. "Very well. We will discuss the next steps. But know this: your actions today have left a lasting impression. Zarathians will remember what you have shown them, and it will influence our people for generations." Adrian felt a deep sense of accomplishment. The battles and trials had been critical, but it was the day's diplomatic efforts that truly forged a bridge between their worlds. Humans had proven themselves not only capable of surviving and fighting, but also of understanding, learning, and collaborating in ways that inspired trust and respect. As night fell over Zeroth Prime, Adrian walked once more through the palace. Gardens with Solara. The twin moons reflected off the crystal trees, casting soft light across their path. Adrian realized that the bonds formed today were more than diplomatic achievements. They were connections between minds, hearts, and cultures, bridging the gap between two species. "You have changed how your people see us," Solara said quietly. "And perhaps you have changed how the queen sees you as well." Adrian smiled. "Faintly, I hope so. Humans are capable of much, but we must show it through actions. Words alone are not enough." Solara nodded. "Actions speak louder than words, and today you have shown the universe what humans can do. That is a rare gift. Adrian felt a surge of gratitude and purpose. He had come to Zareth Prime as a diplomat, but he realized he had become something more, a bridge between worlds, a symbol of humanity's potential, and a participant in a story that could shape the future of multiple species. In the quiet of the palace, the city below shimmered with life and hope. The citizens of Zareth Prime were beginning to see humans not as strangers, not as unknown visitors, but as beings capable of great things. They had witnessed courage, intelligence, and moral strength, the qualities that defined humanity at its best. Adrian knew the path ahead would continue to be challenging. Diplomacy was never simple, and trust had to be nurtured carefully. But the events of the day had proven that humans and Zarathians could work together, learn from each other, and create a future that was brighter than either species could achieve. Alone, as he prepared for rest, Adrian reflected on Solara's words. Understanding had been the key. Through observation, collaboration, and mutual respect, humans had begun to forge a lasting bond with the Zarathians. The morning sun rose over Zareth Prime, casting soft amber and violet hues across the city's crystal towers. Captain Adrian Kane stood on the palace balcony, looking out at the awakening world below. The city seemed peaceful now, calm after the recent battle and the days of intensive diplomacy. Citizens moved with purpose, yet there was a sense of optimism in the air. Humans and Zarathians had begun to understand each other in ways neither species had anticipated, and the promise of a lasting alliance hung quietly over the planet. Solara appeared at his side, her presence calm yet commanding. "The Council has convened," she said. "They wish to finalize discussions on the alliance. Today is an important day, Captain. Your role continues to be central, even after everything you have done." Adrian nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. "I am ready," he said. "I will do whatever I can to ensure this alliance benefits both our peoples." They entered the council chamber together, where the Queen, advisors, and key leaders of Zareth Prime awaited. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing detailed maps of the galaxy, the position of allied planets, and potential trade routes. The chamber hummed softly with energy, the atmosphere a blend of authority, intellect, and anticipation. "Queen." Lysera rose as Adrian entered. "Captain Kane," she said, her voice firm and calm. "Your actions over the past days have proven humans to be a species capable of courage, intelligence, and moral integrity. Your cooperation, insight, and bravery have not gone unnoticed. Today, we shall formalize a partnership that reflects these truths." Adrian bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, I am honored to serve in any way that fosters trust and understanding between our peoples." Solara stepped forward, addressing the council. "Humans have shown qualities that are rare even among the most advanced species. They have not only fought alongside us, but have demonstrated understanding, adaptability, and respect. I recommend that we acknowledge their value formally and open a lasting alliance." The council members murmured in agreement, their glowing eyes reflecting both curiosity and admiration. Many had observed Adrian's actions during the battle and in the trials, noting his human qualities: creativity, courage, moral decision-making, and ability to cooperate effectively with Zarethians. The discussion turned to specifics: trade agreements, knowledge exchange, joint research, and defense protocols. Adrian proposed that humans and Zarathians share technology in a controlled and ethical manner, ensuring that both civilizations benefited without compromising security or values. He emphasized mutual learning, cooperation, and ethical responsibility as guiding principles for the alliance. Solara added her insight, ensuring that human perspectives were understood in the context of Zarathian society. She highlighted how collaboration could strengthen both civilizations, not just economically or militarily, but culturally and morally. The combination of human ingenuity and Zarathian wisdom created a vision of the future that felt unprecedented in scope and possibility. After several hours of discussion, the council reached a unanimous decision. A formal alliance would be established, built on principles of trust, mutual respect, and shared growth. The agreement included cultural exchanges, joint research initiatives, and coordinated defense strategies. It was a treaty that promised to endure for generations, marking a new chapter in galactic relations. Queen Lysera addressed the room once more. Let it be known that humans, through their actions, courage, and wisdom, have earned our respect and trust. This alliance represents not only political cooperation, but the recognition of the human spirit, its potential, and its ability to rise to extraordinary challenges. Adrian felt a deep sense of accomplishment. The battles, the trials, and the diplomatic discussions had all led to this moment. Humans had not merely survived or fought, they had demonstrated qualities that transcended technology and strategy. They had proven themselves through courage, morality, intelligence, and cooperation. After the formal ceremony, Adrian walked through the city with Solara. Citizens greeted them with warmth, curiosity, and admiration. Children waved, adults nodded, and leaders from various sectors offered gestures of respect. Humans were no longer outsiders. They were recognized as allies and partners, valued not only for what they could do, but for what they represented: ingenuity, resilience, and ethical strength. Solara paused near a reflective pool, its surface shimmering with soft light. "You have changed more than the Council's opinion," she said quietly. "You have changed how our people see humans, Captain. You have shown them that your species can be trusted, respected, and admired." Adrian smiled. "I only hope this is the beginning, not the end. There is so much we can achieve together." She nodded, her eyes reflecting both pride and curiosity. "Yes, together, humans and Zarathians can face challenges, explore the stars, and learn from one another. That is the promise of today." As evening fell, Adrian returned to the palace gardens with Solara. The twin moons cast silver light over the crystal trees, their reflections dancing in the water below. The air was calm, filled with faint harmonics that resonated naturally with the landscape. It was a perfect setting for reflection and quiet conversation. "You have done more than I imagined," Solara said softly. "Your people have qualities that we did not fully understand. You showed the heart of humanity, not just skill, courage, or intelligence, but something deeper: the ability to care, to adapt, and to honor trust." Adrian looked at her, humbled. "I only tried to do what was right. Humans are capable of great things, but we must also choose to act with integrity. That is what makes our achievements meaningful." Solara's gaze softened. "And that is why the alliance will last. Not because of necessity or fear, but because of mutual respect and shared values. You have shown that humans are worthy partners in every sense." The palace was quiet, but energy lingered in the air. Adrian felt the magnitude of what had been accomplished. Humans were now recognized across the galaxy as beings capable of extraordinary cooperation and understanding. Zarathians had witnessed human ingenuity, courage, morality, and adaptability firsthand. And through it all, a bond had formed, not just between two individuals, but between two species, with the potential to shape the future together. In the following days, Adrian continued to work closely with Solara and the Zarathian Council, coordinating initiatives in research, education, and exploration. Humans shared knowledge of engineering, space travel, and medical sciences, while Zarathians provided insights into energy manipulation, interstellar navigation, and environmental harmony. Every day brought new discoveries and a deepening of trust between the species. Adrian found himself reflecting on the journey from his first arrival to this moment. He had come expecting diplomacy, perhaps minor negotiations. Instead, he had faced trials, battle, and complex ethical challenges. Through it all, he had learned that humanity's greatest strengths lay not only in technology or strength, but in the mind, heart, and courage to engage with the unknown. Solara continued to be a guide, ally, and friend. Her wisdom and insight had been invaluable, and Adrian recognized the quiet strength in her leadership. Together, they were building more than an alliance. They were forging a shared vision for the future, one grounded in trust, respect, and a recognition of each other's worth. One evening, as the twin moons reflected off the crystal towers, Adrian and Solara stood together, overlooking the city. The streets below were alive with soft lights, citizens moving with purpose. Yet, there was a sense of calm and harmony that had not existed before. Humans and Zarathians were working together, side by side, learning from one another and creating something extraordinary. "You have changed history here," Solara said quietly, her voice carrying both pride and wonder. "Not just for Zareth Prime, but for the potential of all worlds to see humans as more than outsiders." Adrian smiled faintly, looking at the horizon. "Humans have always sought to explore, to learn, and to grow. I only hope that we continue to live up to the potential we've shown here." Solara nodded. "With courage, intelligence, and integrity, your species will continue to inspire. This is just the beginning of a new era, Captain. A future where humans and Zarathians face the universe together, stronger for the bond we have created." Night deepened. The palace shimmered under the light of the moons, a symbol of hope, unity, and the potential of cooperation. Adrian Kane, a human among aliens, had proven that humanity's strengths were more than physical or technological. They lay in adaptability, moral courage, ingenuity, and the ability to connect across worlds. Queen Lysera watched from her chambers, her thoughts filled with a rare sense of hope. The humans had not only met her expectations, they had exceeded them. Through trials, battle, and diplomacy, they had shown qualities that could shape the future of the galaxy. Perhaps humans were more than allies. Perhaps they were partners, capable of greatness that would endure for generations. Adrian and Solara walked together through the quiet gardens, soft light reflecting their shared purpose. The events of the past days had forged more than an alliance. They had built understanding, trust, and mutual respect. Humanity's place in the galaxy was now recognized, not through force alone, but through courage, intelligence, and the quiet strength of character. As the night air cooled, Adrian felt a pro.